In the heart of Neo Los Angeles, the sky was filled with flying cars and glowing hats. But inside a tall, smart mansion, things were quiet. Vin Draven, a famous actor and powerful tech CEO, stood near his front door. He had strong arms, a bald head, and always looked serious. But today, he looked tired. His 5-year-old daughter, Leah, had been crying a lot lately. Ever since her mother passed, nothing had felt right. He needed help. Not just any nanny. Someone gentle, calm, different. The doorbell rang. A tall, dark-skinned woman stood outside. She wore a long coat, simple shoes, and carried only one old bag and a notebook with a worn leather cover. Her name was Zuri. "You must be Zuri," Vin said. Zuri smiled softly. "Yes, I came for the job." Vine nodded and stepped aside. "Come in." The moment Zuri walked in, the smart system scanned her. A quiet beep sounded, but no alerts came up. She was cleared, even though Vin didn't remember entering her into the system yet. Zuri looked around slowly. The walls glowed with soft lights. Robot cleaners rolled by. Drones floated near the ceiling. It was a smart house, one of the best. But Zuri seemed more interested in the old piano in the corner. Vine showed her around. "This is Leah's room. Her schedule is synced to the wall panel. She eats at 8, studies at 10, naps at 2, and bedtime is 7. The drones monitor everything." Zuri nodded. "I understand." She didn't ask questions. She didn't speak much. She just listened. Later that day, the other staff noticed her. One of the chefs whispered to the cleaner, "She's too quiet. Gives me chills." "Yeah," the cleaner replied. "And she carries that notebook like it's something sacred." "She's hiding something," another said. "No one's that calm." But Zuri didn't respond to any of it. She focused only on Leah. That evening, Leah refused to eat again. Vine stood nearby, frustrated. Then Zuri sat down beside the child. She didn't speak. She simply opened her notebook and showed Leah a picture. It was a hand-drawn star with a face inside it. "What's this?" Leah asked. "It's a dream star," Zuri said softly. "It listens when you're sad." Leah blinked, then smiled. She picked up her spoon and started eating. Vin raised an eyebrow. He didn't say anything, but something felt strange. Later that night, Vin sat alone in his home office. The security screen in front of him showed different parts of the house. He clicked on Leah's room. Zuri sat beside the bed, gently brushing Leah's hair. She was humming something, a soft tune, not any song he recognized. It was slow, sad, and beautiful. As the song played, the lights in the room dimmed on their own. The walls showed stars and clouds. Vine frowned. "I didn't program that." He rewound the footage, played it again. That's when he noticed something. As Zuri stood up and turned to leave, the camera glitched. The image shook for a second, and during that small moment, her eyes glowed faintly, a golden light, just for a second. Vine leaned forward, replayed it again. Same result. He sat back slowly, staring at the screen. "What are you?" he whispered. The next morning, Zuri was already awake, preparing breakfast. She had made pancakes shaped like stars. Leah ran down smiling and hugged her. Vin watched quietly from behind the corner. His daughter hadn't smiled like that in weeks. But in the back of his mind, one thought kept spinning. Zuri moved through the halls like she belonged there. She didn't ask questions. She didn't gossip with staff. She just watched, listened, and smiled softly when spoken to. But no one could ignore that something was different about her. Vine still watched her on the security screens at night. He had seen that moment, her eyes glowing faintly. But he didn't tell anyone. Not yet. He didn't believe in ghosts or magic. But whatever Zuri was, she wasn't just a nanny. Leah, though, loved her. The child had stopped throwing tantrums. She laughed more, slept better, and even talked more. "She's like a different kid," Vin's personal assistant said. Vine nodded. "Yeah, I noticed." That afternoon, Zuri asked for music time with Leah. "Music time?" The assistant laughed. "That's not on the schedule." Zuri didn't argue. She simply took Leah to the large living room. where the smart speakers were hidden behind the walls. Leah picked up a small toy drum. What are we playing? Zuri opened her notebook. Inside was a drawing, a swirl of music notes that glowed faintly, not with ink, but something else. The page shimmered when the sunlight hit it. Zuri whispered something in a language no one recognized. Then, the speakers turned on by themselves. Soft drums started. A strange, ancient rhythm filled the air. Not techno, not classical, something older. Zuri took Leah's hands and stepped into the middle of the room. She moved slowly at first. Her arms floated like silk in the wind. Her feet barely touched the ground. Then suddenly she spun. One spin, two, three. Her coat flew out behind her. Her eyes closed. She smiled, not her quiet smile, but something more powerful, joyful. Leah copied her, giggling, twirling, dancing. Zuri moved like someone who had done this for centuries. Not just a woman, something more. One of the robot cleaners nearby paused. Its sensors blinked and froze. It stopped moving completely. The living room lights flickered. Vine entered quietly from the hallway and stood behind the pillar. He watched in silence. Zuri didn't notice him, or maybe she did, but didn't care. The floor under her feet shimmered faintly, like it remembered the steps. Leah clacked and jumped. Vine narrowed his eyes. What kind of dance is that? Suddenly, the lights shut off. Darkness. Then, just as fast, the emergency backup turned on. Zuri stopped dancing. She looked toward the pillar where Vin had been standing, but now he was gone. He'd backed away, quietly. Zuri smiled again, just a little. She had known he was there. Later that night, the head chef knocked on Vin's office door. "Sir, we have a problem." Vin turned from his screen. "What now?" Someone reported interference in the drone system. Half of them shut down during the nanny's dance. Vin sat up straighter. And the smart lights. Same time. Full blackout. But only in the rooms where she danced. The chef hesitated. "Sir, do you think she's, like, AI? Or something else?" Vine didn't answer. He just replayed the footage of the living room again. There was Zuri, floating across the room, spinning like a dancer from another world. He paused the video. Zoomed in. For just 1 second, as she turned, the camera caught her reflection in the mirror. But her reflection was different. In the mirror, she wasn't smiling. In the mirror, her eyes were glowing again. And behind her stood a shadowy figure. Something tall, something ancient. Then the footage glitched. The lights worked fine. The drones were back online. But something in the air had changed. It felt thicker, like the house itself was watching. Zuri walked through the mansion like nothing had happened. She wore the same soft smile, carried the same old notebook, and hummed the same strange lullaby that no one could name. But Vin Draven couldn't forget what he saw on the footage. The mirror, the eyes, the shadow. He called a tech expert to check the system. "Sir," the man said nervously, "this isn't just a glitch. It's like someone rewrote the drone code without touching a keyboard." Vine frowned. "You saying the nanny hacked my system?" The tech shook his head. "I'm saying it's like the house responded to her, like it knew her." That night, Zuri read to Leah from her notebook. It wasn't a regular storybook. The pages didn't have words, just strange symbols, soft drawings of glowing trees, stars, and spirals. When she turned the pages, the drawings shimmered, like they were alive. "Where did you get that book?" Leah asked. Zuri smiled. "It was given to me long ago, when I was very small, just like you." Leah pointed at a picture of a glowing circle. "What's this?" Zuri's voice turned softer. "That's the dance gate." "What's a dance gate?" Zuri paused. "A place only some can open, a place between here and the other world." Leah's eyes widened. "Can I go there?" Zuri bent down and touched the child's forehead gently. "If your heart remains open, maybe." Vin watched from the hallway again. He couldn't help it. Something about that book pulled him in. And something about Zuri's soft voice made the whole house seem quieter, like the walls were listening. Later, after Leah fell asleep, Zuri stayed in the room. She lit a single candle, even though the room had smart lights. The candle flickered oddly, as if the flame was dancing. Zuri opened her notebook and flipped to a blank page. She pulled out a silver pencil. Then she started drawing. She drew Vine, standing in the hallway, watching her. But in the drawing, he looked afraid. And behind him stood the same shadowy figure from the mirror. She blew gently on the page, and the shadow disappeared. From his office, Vin saw something strange. His desk lamp flickered. His computer made a sound. An alert. He looked up. A new email appeared on his screen. No sender, no subject, just one image. It was a sketch of him watching Zuri. He jumped up, heart racing. He ran to the hallway, but it was empty. He marched to Leah's room. Zuri was gone. Only Leah slept, peacefully. The old notebook sat on the nightstand. Vin reached for it. The cover was soft, too soft. Like skin. He opened it carefully. Page after page of glowing drawings. He flipped faster. Stars, gates, shadows, dances, fires, trees. Then, he found the sketch of himself. It was exact. His suit, his face, his shocked eyes. Vine dropped the book, but just before it hit the floor, it froze in the air, floated, then settled gently back onto the nightstand. Vine backed away slowly. He didn't sleep that night. The next morning, he confronted Zuri in the kitchen. "What is that book?" he asked, trying to sound calm. Zuri turned to him, her eyes kind but sharp. "You looked inside?" He didn't answer. Zuri nodded. "It's not safe to open what you don't understand." Vin's jaw tightened. "You're not just a nanny, are you?" Zuri paused. "No," she said quietly. "But I was sent to protect." "Protect who? My daughter?" Zuri looked him straight in the eye. "Both of you." Red lights blinked. Security drones hovered near the ceiling. The AI system kept repeating, "Intruder alert. Level 3. Intruder alert." Vindrevan stood frozen in the hallway, his fists clenched. Behind him, little Leah peeked out of her room frightened. Zuri stepped forward calmly. She wasn't scared. She wasn't even surprised. Vin whispered, "What is that sound?" A deep humming filled the air. Not a machine, not a voice. It sounded like something calling. Zuri turned her head slowly toward the main door. "He's here," she said. Vine blinked. "Who?" Zuri's voice was steady. "The one who's been watching. The one who wants your daughter." Vin's face went pale. "What are you talking about?" But Zuri didn't answer. She reached into her old coat and pulled out something glowing, a circular pendant made of silver and stone. It lit up in her palm, softly humming in response to the dark sound outside. Then the front door opened on its own. The wind rushed in, though there was no storm, just cold and silence. And standing in the doorway, a man in a silver cloak, his skin pale gray, eyes pure white. No expression, no emotion, only stillness. Vine stepped in front of Leah. "Who are you?" The man didn't speak, but the house shook. The paintings on the walls rattled. The floor under Vin's feet buzzed. Even the AI stuttered. Unkey, noun. Entity, access, denied. Zuri stepped forward, holding the pendant. "This is sacred ground," she said firmly. "You have no power here unless we invite you." The man tilted his head slowly, then raised his hand. Suddenly, one of the security drones exploded. Another crashed into the floor, sparks flying. Vin yelled, "Zuri, do something." Zuri moved fast. She placed the pendant on the ground and began to dance. Yes, dance. Her feet tapped and turned. Her hands drew symbols in the air. Her eyes glowed just like they had in the hallway camera. The same soft lullaby came from her lips, but this time it was stronger, sharper. The humming in the house changed. It wasn't the man humming anymore. It was the walls. The paintings lit up with Zuri's symbols. The floor glowed beneath her feet. The air shimmered like heat waves. The man in the doorway stepped back, but he didn't leave. He raised both hands now, and from his cloak, shadow-like vines slithered toward Zuri. Leah screamed. Vin grabbed a fallen drone and pointed it at the figure, but nothing happened. The weapon didn't respond. Zuri didn't stop dancing. The vines touched her, but the moment they did, they burned into light and vanished. Zuri stomped her foot. A blast of energy rushed through the room. The glass windows shook, but didn't break. The man groaned for the first time, his face twisting. Then, he vanished into a cloud of black mist. The door slammed shut behind him. Silence. The red lights turned white. The AI spoke calmly now. Intruder neutralized. All systems stable. Vin was shaking. He looked at Zuri. What was that thing? Zuri picked up her pendant and placed it back in her coat. They are called the hollow kind. They come from the old gates. The ones we sealed long ago. Vine looked at her, breathing heavily. Why now? Why my daughter? Zuri walked over and knelt beside Leah, brushing the girl's hair back gently. Because she's special, like her mother. Vin's eyes widened. You knew her? Zuri nodded slowly. She was my student. She knew what was coming. She'd asked me to protect you both. He kept checking the house security system, re-watching the footage of the shadowy visitor from last night. But each time he played the video, it glitched. Just like it had when Zuri turned and her eyes glowed. None of this makes sense, he muttered. Zuri was in the kitchen, calmly making Leah's breakfast. She hummed that same strange lullaby, her voice soft and soothing. Leah giggled beside her, acting like nothing had happened. But Vine knew better. He needed answers. He waited until Leah left for a walk with Zuri. Then he walked into his late wife's study, a room he had never touched since she passed. Everything was still just as she left it. Books, notes, a few family photos. But one book caught his eye. It wasn't dusty. It looked new. Black cover, gold trim, no title. Vin opened it. Inside, the pages were filled with strange symbols, drawings of gates, stars, glowing eyes, and handwritten notes in his wife's handwriting. One sentence stopped him cold. If the hollow kind return, take her to the room below the basement. Vine frowned. Room below the basement? He grabbed a flashlight and ran downstairs. He had lived in the house for years, but he'd never looked for anything beneath the basement. Why would he? It was supposed to be just storage. But now, he began tapping on the walls, knocking, listening. Then, thud, a hollow sound behind a tall metal shelf. He pushed it aside. Behind it was a door, faded, rusty, hidden perfectly. And on the door, painted faintly, Eclipse Chamber, authorized bloodline only. Vin hesitated. He placed his hand on the handle. Suddenly, click, the door unlocked itself. The lock responded to his touch. As the door creaked open, a soft blue light shone from below. He stepped in. A narrow staircase led down into the earth. The walls were lined with glowing blue crystals. The air was warm, yet it vibrated, like the hum of power sleeping beneath the surface. When he reached the bottom, he saw something that made him stop breathing. A giant circular portal, covered in markings that matched those from Zuri's notebook. It wasn't active. It looked ancient, but it was real. And in front of the portal, on a small pedestal, lay a silver locket. Vin picked it up. Inside was a photo of his wife, younger, standing beside Zuri. They were wearing the same pendant Zuri used during last night's battle. Vin whispered, "You are more than a nanny." Then he heard a voice behind him. "You aren't supposed to find this yet." He turned. Zuri stood at the bottom of the stairs, her coat open, pendant glowing. Vine stared. "Why didn't you tell me about this? About her? About what's coming?" Zuri stepped closer. Her face was calm, but her eyes looked sad. "Because if I told you too early, you wouldn't believe me. You tried to fight it the wrong way." Vin raised the locket. "She knew all of this. My wife. What was she involved in? Zuri paused. She was one of the gatekeepers. Vine blinked. The what? Zuri explained slowly, clearly. There are ancient gates hidden across the world. Some natural, some built by something older than humans. The hollow kind come through them. Creatures that feed on fear, memory, and light. Vin whispered, and Laya? She was born with the mark, Zuri said. The last time the hollow kind rose, we stopped them. But your wife sealed the final gate. That seal is weakening. Vine looked at the dormant portal. It's under my house. Zuri nodded. Because this house was never just a home. It was a sanctuary. Vine stepped back, rubbing his face. So what now? Zuri looked up at the portal. We train Leah. Vine stared at her. She's just a child. Zuri shook her head. No, she's the key. Vine stared at the glowing wall crystals, his chest tight. You said the gate was sealed. Zuri's voice was low and sharp. It was. But the hollow kind. They found another way. Someone on the outside helped them. Vine looked at the dormant portal. Can they get through here? Zuri nodded once. If one gate opens, the rest feel the pull. This one will awaken soon. Suddenly, the locket in Vin's hand vibrated. The photo inside began to fade, his wife's face disappearing. Zuri's eyes widened. They're attacking memories now. They're starting the erasure. Vine clenched his jaw. We fight, right? We protect Leia. Zuri looked up the stairs. No, she fights. We protect her. UPS us. Leah was sitting in the living room, drawing stars on her notebook, when the lights flickered. A strange sound hummed through the air, like thousands of whispers layered together. She paused. The paper under her pencil began to wrinkle, like time was folding. Then, the fireplace flared up, showing a smoky figure in the flames. It looked human, but its eyes were hollow. Its mouth didn't move, but Leia heard a voice. Come closer, Starborn. Let us see you. She screamed. In a flash, Zuri appeared beside her, pendant glowing bright gold. The shadows hissed and vanished. Vin rushed in, grabbing Leah and holding her tight. It's okay. I've got you. Zuri turned to them, eyes glowing again. No time. We go to the chamber. Now. In the chamber. The portal was now pulsing. Red, blue, then gold. Zuri handed Leah the silver pendant. Your mother's gift. It responds to your voice. Leah was scared. But I'm just a kid. I don't know how to use it. Zuri knelt beside her. You already do. Your song. The one you hum when you sleep. That's not just a lullaby. It's a seal. Vine looked at Zuri. She was born for this, wasn't she? Zuri nodded. The last gatekeeper's child. Then, the portal cracked. A burst of wind hit them. The air smelled like ash and static. From the center of the gate, a long shadow stretched forward, then another. Two hollow kind stepped through, twisting, black shapes with glowing red eyes and teeth like shards of glass. Zuri stepped in front of Leah. Stay behind me. She raised her hands, and her body lit up with strange blue patterns. A shield formed around the chamber, but the hollow kind slammed into it, cracking it piece by piece. Vin grabbed a steel rod from the wall. I'll hold them off. He charged forward, striking the creature, but it barely flinched. Zuri called out, Vin, you can't fight shadow with steel. Then Leia stepped forward. She stood in the center of the chamber, holding the pendant tightly. I remember the song, she whispered. She closed her eyes and began to hum. The chamber changed. The red light dimmed. The hollow kind froze. Leah's voice echoed louder and louder. Zuri dropped to one knee. She's activating the seal. The pendant floated into the air, spinning in golden light. Runes appeared in the air around Leia. Vine stared in awe. She's doing it. The portal began to close, but the hollow kind lunged forward one last time. Zuri blocked them with her body, taking the hit. She crashed into the wall. Zuri! Vine shouted. But Zuri smiled through the pain. It's okay, she's sealing it. Leah sang louder now, her voice like a melody of light. The portal cracked apart, then exploded in a wave of white. Aftio. Silence. The chamber was calm again. The runes faded. The crystals returned to their soft blue glow. Vin rushed to Zuri. She was weak, but alive. Leah ran into her father's arms. Did I do it? Vine smiled, tears in his eyes. You did. You saved us all. Zuri whispered, you didn't just seal the gate. You awakened the next generation. Leah blinked. What does that mean? Zuri slowly sat up. There are more gates, more children like you. They'll need your help. Vine looked at his daughter. Looks like we've got a new mission. Zuri smiled. The gatekeepers rise again.